What's up, guys? Alright. Last night I did a video, I put it on here, it's the one right before this, where the audio messed up. No idea what happened. Used a new microphone, but when I did a podcast after recording the video, everybody heard me fine, so I don't know what happened. So I figured I'll do a little part 2 to the Find Mess video there. I'm going to show you some comics that, one, you may have seen, but I doubt it. Maybe someone, I'm sure somebody out there did. Especially if you have kids in school. And then the other one you probably have never seen because it was published by a co-worker of mine years ago. Alright. First one we have here is a special. It was Teen Titans. Okay. This was given out to, it was made by DC, given out to school for children with special needs. I don't recall what the special needs were, man, but Todd Nick, N-A-U-C-K, I've never known how to say his name, penciled it, and somebody named Mark Sumerak did the writing in it, which is kind of cool. And, this was about, like, behavior and ADHD and things, I believe. Just kind of incentive to get kids to come to this program, and they explained how ADHD works and the brain and everything like that, and how kids act out and alternatives. So I grabbed a couple of these and stuff because I work with children with special needs in school, and sometimes every now and then a comic book will pull them in every now and then. It's kind of cool of DC to do that. Okay, moving on here. Now, back in 2003, 2004, I worked with a guy. His name was Mike Hatfield, and he had a buddy named John Hutchison that I never really met. And Mike Hatfield was from a place called Tazewell, Virginia, and then the John Hutchison guy was from Grundy, Virginia, and he'd gotten out and been moving around, and they decided to get together and they self-published a book called The Bear King. Alright. Some stuff they gave me when the book came out. Now, before I show you some of the book here, they gave me a sketch and signed it for me. That's the Bear King. If you can't see, there's the face, and then he's got a skin bear who puts on his head. They gave me like some kind of promotional booklet that they signed for me. All their information. This is old information, so I'm not worried about showing it. And like I said, this is from 2003. And these guys really tried to get this book off the ground. Man, they put a lot of sweat and stuff. And Mike's been divorced since then, and who knows, maybe this had something to do with it. But here's some of their artwork. It's the same artwork that's in the actual comic. This isn't just complete. This is like a teaser. And from what I understand, they went to Wizard World in Philadelphia, their comic book con back then, and got a table to show off their work. And I want to talk about one of the characters here real quick and stuff. And let's do some good stuff here. John Hutchison wrote and drew it, and I think Hatfield went in there and inked it, and I think he did some of the story also, character development and stuff. And it's a really cool story. I mean, every now and then they got a killer panel in there, a lot of detail, and a lot of heart, and it's kind of cool. I was really pulling for him to get off the ground. And I'll tell you a little bit about Mike in a minute. And there's the Bear King. Okay. And basically what it comes down to, this one king or something has hired all of these guys as assassins, bounty hunters, if you will, to track down the Bear King. And this character here, Absinthe, A-B-S-I-N-T-H-E, Absinthe, or something like that. That's a poisonous drink in Europe, more or less, exotic players. He's a French character, and I'll go on record as feeling like I really influenced that character, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. But, basically what happens is this is just introducing everybody. A king comes out, and he sends them all a letter summoning everybody to be hired. And we get back to the artwork I just showed you. The king's sitting there giving a speech about why he wants to go after the Bear King, and it's an enormous task, and he'll give them fortunes among fortunes. And he introduces all the characters and stuff. You know, they come from across the, you know, great lands, from, you know, the Orient, you know, to France, you know, all over England. And pretty much the Bear King has been like raising hell on his kingdom. And everybody starts arguing and having a pissing contest, and you know, we just kind of watch everybody argue amongst themselves. And there's the French character, who basically Hatfield told me kind of took over the book. He was such a strong character. And basically the French dude is caught trying to more or less rape the girl of the group, and they kind of go at it. Let me hold that still for you. There he is. Busted in her tent. What the... Dude gets a hold of him, smacks him around a little bit. You know, get off, and he's ready to fight, like, you don't lay your hands on me. And you know, the girl stops the fight, and we go on and on and on, and you know, everybody seems to get their hands on the girl for one reason or the other, being all uppity and stuff. And just when things sort of everybody's just about to kill each other, more or less, trying to get the Bear King, you know, they get attacked by, they end up in a village on the tracking down the Bear King, and they get attacked for being outsiders, and everybody has their witty comments and stuff. And we have moments of, you know, getting to know these characters with their thoughts and everything. And right when they're out there, he goes, "If walk the devil, you will also bleed." Comes from the woods. And we look up, and you know, the guy gets grabbed by the Bear King. At the last page, he finally shows up, and he's got him up there. Now, actually, this page right here is where I think they sort of found their voice and don't realize what they did. They're heavily influenced by the manga style, and I'm not a fan of the manga style. I mean, I'm not going to put it down. It's got its fans, but I sort of liked how they got this Frank Frazetta, John Buscema sort of traditional comic book art character grabbing a hold of a manga-inspired David Carradine bald-headed dude, you know, with his staff and stuff, and pins him against the tree, choking him out. You know, that kind of was symbolic to me. And, you know, sketches and stuff. They were trying to promote their studio. They were called Penciling Mad Studios back in the day. And sketches of their characters. And the character development. You know, they packed it in there. And they printed about 3,000 of these. There's some more Bear King. You know, and they pushed the book and stuff like that. Even got to go to, like, so Wizard World Philly Con. And the French character there and stuff like that. In my early 20s, I always cracked up, and I was always like, kind of, it wasn't giving the French hell, but it was like the French in the media. It seemed like if you wanted a villain, or you wanted a cheap joke in any kind of, you know, sitcom or movie or something like that, you made a French joke. Or so it would be, if you wanted a villain, you know, slap a goatee on an English guy or a Frenchman, you got your villain, you know, and stuff like that. So I was always like French conspiracy. Even here in the Appalachian Mountains, there's supposedly a laboratory up in like West Virginia or something, because we're immune to diseases that people around the world aren't. You know, there's some diseases that are here that aren't anywhere else, and we're immune to them also, and stuff like that. So I was always cracking up. It was like stuff was always popping up in the news about the French, you know, and you know, like I said, it was in the media, not the French. You know, I have nothing against the French. I think one of the sexiest words a woman can say is the word French. You know, go try it. Get a girl to say French for you. That's what they had French class in high school. Yeah, when that word French rolls out of their mouth, it's pretty hot. But I digress. Anyway, but the French character, you know, even on the mid-90s or early 90s, John Leguizamo had the John Leguizamo show. Look it up on YouTube, and they had a like a Jeopardy show skit or something like that, where they were giving some country hell all the way through it, and then they had a disclaimer at the end of the skit. It said it wasn't them, it was the French, and it kind of got weird, man. I mean, what really got weird was like, you know, I was making these jokes, and people were coming up to me, you know, my buddies and stuff. You know how, you know, you are when you're young and stuff. Everybody was like, "You're right." They were like checking it out, and they were like, they started paying attention. Even the Godzilla movie that came out in what, '98, The French were the ones that created Godzilla in that movie. You see how it snowballed? And then some weird stuff happened, man. Some neighbors of mine in this apartment building, they ended up getting a French foreign exchange student. You know, I ended up meeting some French guys on this mountain on New Year's Eve. There's a mountain in between a place called Tazewell and Marion, Virginia, on your way to a place called Henry Mothers Park, and got stuck in traffic. I mean, the whole mountainside was nothing but, you know, miles and miles of cars. I never figured out what was going on, but in a Jeep, about 4 or 5 cars in front of me, around the stroke of midnight, these 2 French guys jumped out with a bottle of champagne on the side of this mountain, surrounded by woods, going, oh, you know, Happy New Year, you know, spraying champagne. You know, I was like, whoa, you know. Anyway, but that character with the French one, you know, I joked around with Mike about this stuff, and he started, you know, kind of paying attention too while we were working. Next thing I know, he's got a French character in there, and he just kind of looked at me. He's like, you might be onto something, because he really took over the book, you know. Anyway, there you go. Just wanted to share that. It's called The Bear King, 2003, Pencil and Mad Studios. Just one of my buddies, you know, went for the dream. You know. Oh yeah, when they went to PhillyCon, or whatever it was, the Philadelphia convention for WizardCon, he almost ran over Joe Kubert at a crosswalk, and he went into a Burger King, and he looked down, he saw Chris Claremont sitting there eating a Whopper. And years before that, this guy's, you know, dream was to be in the comics and stuff, but years before that, with his first wife, he was in line to see Joe Quesada, you know, when Joe Quesada still was just, you know, penciling and stuff before he was editor-in-chief. Well, he sat there and he talked to the guy, and I think he got real quiet and got something signed, and then he turned around, couldn't find his wife. He ended up making like a little circle looking around, and he found his wife sitting there getting hit on by Joe Quesada. Yeah, how ironic is that? I want to be in comics, and the dude who can put me in comics is, you know, hitting on my wife. What do you do? All right, later.